The medical bay's sterile lights hummed softly as Penelope lay on the examination table, her arm extended while the Zalthori physician, Dr. Veshanar, ran the advanced bioscanner across her skin. The device chirped and beeped, projecting holographic readouts into the air between them. Wilder stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the proceedings with mild amusement. His own physical had been completed an hour ago, and now he waited for his partner to finish hers so they could finally get clearance for the deep space salvage mission. Dr. Veshanar's crystalline eyes widened suddenly, his three-fingered hand freezing mid-scan. The holographic display flickered, showing something that made the alien physician's scales ripple with confusion. "This cannot be correct," he muttered, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into comprehensible speech. "Human Penelope, you have significant scarring in your skeletal structure. Fractures healed improperly, stress fractures, micro tears in muscle tissue calcified. Some of these injuries appear to be impossibly old." Penelope glanced at her arm, then at Wilder, who raised an eyebrow. "Which ones are you worried about, Doc?" The Zalthori adjusted his scanner, zooming in on Penelope's femur. "This fracture, for instance. The bone density suggests it occurred at least 40 standard cycles ago, yet you are only 32 cycles old according to your file." "Oh, that?" Penelope smiled. "Broke my leg when I was 7. Fell out of a tree." Dr. Veshanar's head tilted in that peculiar way that indicated deep confusion among his species. "You fell? And broke your primary locomotive bone? As a juvenile?" "Kids do stupid things," Wilder chimed in. "I broke my arm twice before I was 10. The doctor's scales flashed yellow, a sign of distress. "Your species allows juveniles to engage in activities dangerous enough to cause catastrophic skeletal failure?" "We call it playing outside," Penelope said, sitting up slightly. "It's kind of how we learn." Dr. Veshanar moved the scanner to her ribs, and his distress deepened. 3 ribs, fractured and healed, 2 separately from the third. Different time periods. This one, he pointed at the hologram, shows signs of puncture damage. "You were impaled?" "Soccer cleat to the ribs when I was 15, Penelope explained casually. "Made the playoffs, though." "Soccer?" "A game," Wilder supplied helpfully. "We kick a ball around and try to score goals. Gets pretty rough sometimes." The Zalthori physician stepped back, his translator struggling to keep up with his rapid-fire clicks. "You engage in recreational activities that result in penetrating trauma for enjoyment?" Penelope shrugged. "It builds character." Dr. Veshanar turned his attention to Wilder as if seeking sanity. "And you, human Wilder? Your scan revealed similar abnormalities. A skull fracture." "Skateboarding accident at 13, Wilder said with a grin. "Cervical vertebrae compression. Rugby. And what appears to be evidence of severe thermal damage to your left hand, down to the bone." Wilder flexed his fingers. "Grabbed a hot exhaust pipe when I was 16. Thought I could fix my buddy's motorcycle without letting it cool down first. I was wrong." The doctor's scales had gone completely white now, a color Penelope had learned indicated existential confusion. "These injuries? They should have been fatal, or at minimum, permanently debilitating. Yet you both function at peak physical capacity. Your own scans indicate you are cleared for extreme physical activity." "Humans are pretty resilient," Penelope said, swinging her legs off the table. "We heal. It's kind of our thing." Dr. Veshanar pulled up a comparison chart showing skeletal structures of various species. "The Zalthori young are protected in gestation pods until their bones reach full density. The Krell-Nox have exoskeletons that prevent such injuries. The Thurian species mature in aquatic environments where impact trauma is virtually impossible. Even the Voranthi, who I considered hardy, show nothing like this level of accumulated damage in their population." He zoomed in on Penelope's scan again, this time focusing on her hands. These microfractures in your knuckles, they form a pattern, repetitive stress injuries. Martial arts training, Penelope said. Started when I was 9, been doing it for 23 years. You repeatedly damaged your own skeletal structure? As practice? For combat? Well, when you put it that way, it sounds weird, Wilder said. But yeah, pretty much. Dr. Veshanar was quiet for a long moment, his scales shifting through colors rapidly, a sign of intense processing. Finally he spoke, his voice subdued. I have been a physician for 67 standard cycles. I have treated over 400 species. Never have I encountered a sapient race that accumulates battle scars as a natural part of development. Battle scars? Penelope laughed. Doc, these aren't battle scars. These are just life, growing up, learning our limits. But this injury, he highlighted a particularly nasty-looking mark on her shoulder. This dislocation and the resulting tissue damage. This occurred when you were 19, before you even entered your current profession. Rock climbing trip gone wrong, she admitted. Dislocated my shoulder, climbed back up anyway. Couldn't leave my friend stranded. The doctor's translator emitted a sound it had never made before, something between a wheeze and static. You continued physical exertion after a complete joint displacement? Well, I wasn't going to just hang there. Dr. Veshanar slowly placed his scanner down, his three-fingered hands trembling slightly. Humans, Penelope, and Wilder, I must ask you something, and I need you to be truthful. Your species, how long have you been spacefaring? About 200 years, give or take, Wilder said. And before that, your species' history? Penelope exchanged a glance with Wilder. I mean, we've got about 10,000 years of recorded history. Probably been around longer than that. The doctor's scales flashed through several colors before settling on a deep purple, awe mixed with fear. These scars, these injuries, the damage patterns I see in your skeletal structure, they tell a story of a species that survived and thrived, not despite injury, but through it. Every broken bone, every torn muscle, every wound that healed wrong made you stronger. Your body's adapted, learned, evolved. He pulled up a deep scan, showing the cellular structure of Penelope's bones. Look at this. Your bone density in the previously fractured areas, it's higher than the surrounding tissue. Your body reinforced the damage. It learned from the injury and built itself stronger. Yeah. That's how bones work when they heal, Penelope said. Not for us, Dr. Veshanar whispered. Not for anyone I've ever treated. When a Zalthori bone breaks, it heals weaker. We must use synthetic reinforcement. But you, he zoomed out, showing both their full body scans side by side. Every injury is a lesson written in scar tissue. Every wound a chapter in your personal history of survival. Wilder straightened up, a proud grin spreading across his face. Doc, you're looking at these scars like they're from some ancient war. But here's the thing. They're not. These are from before we ever left Earth. Before we met any of you. Before we knew there was a galaxy out here waiting for us. Dr. Veshnar's scales rippled with understanding. These are from before my species even existed as spacefaring beings, before the Galactic Council was formed. These scars are from when humanity was alone, teaching itself to survive through trial and error, through pain and adaptation. Pretty much, Penelope said, pulling her shirt back on. So, do we pass the physical or what? The doctor was silent for a moment, then began typing rapidly on his terminal. Yes. Yes, you pass. But I am also flagging something in my report to the Salvage Guild. What's that? Wilder asked, suddenly cautious. Dr. Veshanar's scales shifted to a respectful gold. That if humans accumulate this level of damage simply from existing, simply from growing up on their world, then perhaps we should reconsider what missions we deem too dangerous for human crews. If this is what you consider normal childhood development—" He trailed off, gesturing at the holographic displays of their accumulated injuries. Penelope hopped off the table, landing lightly despite the history written in her bones. "Doc, you're overthinking it. We're just people. We fall down, we get back up. We break, we heal. It's not that complicated." "Perhaps not to you," Dr. Veshanar said quietly. "But to the rest of us? Humanity is terrifying. Not because you are warriors, not because you are aggressive, but because you are stubborn. Your bodies refuse to quit. Your species learned resilience not through gentle evolution, but through 10,000 years of falling out of trees and getting back up to climb again." Wilder clapped the doctor on the shoulder. Gently, he'd learned that most species found human strength alarming. "Thanks for the clean bill of health, Doc. We've got a salvage mission to prep for." As they left the medical bay, Penelope heard Dr. Veshanar muttering to himself, his translator barely catching the words. "Before my species existed. Just from playing impossible durability." She smiled. Humans had that effect on aliens sometimes. They looked at humanity's scars and saw ancient battles. They looked at casual injuries and saw survival stories. They couldn't understand that for humans, breaking and healing wasn't unusual. It was just Tuesday. And maybe that was humanity's real superpower. Not that they were stronger or faster or smarter than other species, but that they were too stubborn to know when they should quit, too resilient to stay down, and too adaptable to let a little thing like a broken bone slow them down. After all, those scars weren't from wars or battles or desperate survival situations. They were from living, from learning, from being human. And that, Penelope thought as they headed to the docking bay, was terrifying enough.